COVID-19 is still with us, and therefore we request members of the public to adhere to COVID-19 rules in place, especially when they attend public meetings. Use public transport when they attend public meetings or when they use public transport and they visit social joints. We urge the public to avoid such gatherings if it is not necessary. I've read a statement on behalf of my boss, the Inspector General. May I now take this opportunity to invite you in an organized way to ask questions, ask one question, ask what is burning so that I can be able to answer you. So let's have an engagement, isn't it? Yeah, I start with you.
We're seeing an increase in charged crowds and emotions, particularly with political gatherings, in the name of BBI sensitization. Are the pockets of violence experienced funded by the politicians from what the police have found, and what does the police seek to do about these situations? Remember last year in October, 2 people ended up dying in one of these situations. And on that same issue with public gatherings, we continue to see political gatherings despite the ban on public gatherings. Are we going to see arrests? Remember the president was very harsh on politicians and members of the public who seek to break that rule of public gatherings. So what does the police do about that?
Your first question is not relevant to police when you ask about who is funding, because we are not politicians. Those respective politicians, when you get opportunity to meet them, ask them who is funding. Ours is just to provide security. We may not know the source of their funds. I also don't believe that public gatherings have been completely blocked, because even now this is a public gathering, but we are asking for responsible management of a public gathering. For example, when you are here and you have your masks, save maybe for me who is talking to you, then I think that is responsible. So where there is a responsibility in whatever people are doing, then we have the authority to even disperse a crowd that, we just don't disperse you. We would read a proclamation and ask you to disperse. But we expect responsible people to carry out their meetings or public gatherings. Because even in a matatu is a gathering, isn't it? Yeah. Any other question? Would you term the killing of the senior officer extrajudicial? No. Why? Because I want you to answer yourself. Why would you not term the killing of the senior policeman who innocently was coming from a meeting where they were to assess a security situation of a school, of schools which were closed, to ensure that we provide security to the students to go back to school? Remember, candidates are just about to sit exams. Would you term that killing to be extrajudicial? My little English that I know means, when you talk about extrajudicial killings, it means that there is a law in that particular country that a particular person would be done what? Would be executed. Remember, in our country, even persons who have been sentenced to death for quite a number of years, I don't think President Kibaki or President Kenyatta has assented even to the killing of persons who have been sentenced to death. And that tells you how much the government respects life and would wish everybody to live. So we don't have things called extrajudicial killings. It's a fallacy. It's a political gimmick that people use. Yes, there are circumstances when a person may be killed lawfully or unlawfully. If, for example, we are in a fighting situation, I'll have to protect myself. If I die, bad luck. If the other person dies, bad luck. But we can't talk about extrajudicial killings because we don't have a policy as a government to kill anyone. And that is quite clear. There are persons who have done very bad things and courts have sentenced them to death. The president has not assented. So we... The reports are false? I've answered you.
Are you saying the reports are false?
Which reports? It's upon you to gauge. I've just answered you. I've told you that there's nothing called extrajudicial killings, from my little English, because extrajudicial killings requires you to have a policy to execute. We don't have, as a government, a policy to execute. And you are aware that even cases where police officers have unlawfully killed, we have charged them in court. So government has no policy to kill anybody. And that is why I've given you a very good example, that we have persons who have been executed, who have been convicted by courts, and they have been sentenced to hang. President Kibaki or President Uhuru has not assented to the killing of a single Kenyan. And that tells you how his government respects right to life.
So, Mr. Owino, let us drop the word extrajudicial and then use the
No, we are not going to argue. This is not a court of law.
Yes,
yes, because if listen to me, I'm a very experienced policeman. And I can tell you, this is our country. We must be responsible. We cannot be advocates of criminals. If, by chance, somebody has a feeling that a person has been killed in a situation that somebody could have been responsible for his death, then we go to court. Or we open an inquiry into the cause of death, and it is followed. And that's what we have done. So let us be patriotic. Let us not be advocates of criminals. All of you are defending criminals and not defending our officers who have been killed protecting you. I'll not argue with you. Can I have another question?
We're asking about the death of these 7 people.
Excuse me. I've told you very clearly that if anybody thinks a person has died in a circumstance, because I'm not the investigating officer, I'm simply giving you a press brief as a spokesperson. There's nothing we are covering. If somebody has died in a circumstance that it is thought that he has been killed by another person, then it is important that we inquire into the cause of death through a court of law. And if somebody has been involved in the killing, the person will take responsibility. Especially the police. We don't take collective responsibility. We take individual responsibilities. That is why, even when we are 20 in an operation and somebody is killed and is killed unlawfully, we take those guns for forensic to determine and establish who in particular has killed the person. So what we are trying to do is a very bad sign of an unpatriotic citizen who wants to pass an agenda of an individual. If they have paid you, Paul, eat the money and keep quiet. Yes.
The issue of border, this is
No, I'd give any opportunity. Another person? Yes.
There has been a conversation by the Students' Union on the need to arm
on the
need to arm or train teachers in insecurity-prone regions. What are your thoughts on this?
We try as much as possible to limit firearms in the hands of individuals. And that is why you find that we arm reservists to support us in areas. Teachers, and I can tell you, even if you have a firearm and somebody knows you have a firearm, your security will depend on who draws his first. You will walk innocently, thinking that you are safe. If the person intends to kill you, and he draws his gun first, you are dead. So I don't think it's fair to say that we arm teachers.
What's the situation in Kapedo now? What can we say? Are there arrests?
Yes, I've just told you we have made 7 arrests so far. And I also want to assure you we are not leaving Kapedo soon. We have to ensure that we protect individuals in that area. And we are not just going to, after a few days, we leave and let Kapedo burn. So far we are still there, and our objective is just to recover the illicit arms and ensure the security for the people. Yes?
My name is Dr. Sangira from Citizen TV. On the directive given about the crackdown on border riders, it's been a day. Could you just elaborate further on the strategy that you will